Indiana Pacers star Tyrese Haliburton suffered a right Achilles injury with about 5 minutes left in the first quarter of Game 7 of the NBA Finals, sending shockwaves across the basketball world and casting a dark shadow over what was supposed to be a celebration of peak athletic competition. The moment it happened, it was clear that something was wrong. Not just wrong, but devastating. The look in his eyes, the way his body crumpled to the hardwood without contact, the silence that swept through the arena, it all told a story that no one wanted to hear. Haliburton, who had already been playing through a strained right calf injury that had haunted him for the past 2 games, was attempting to make one of his signature moves. A quick crossover dribble as he tried to maneuver past Oklahoma City Thunder's star guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It was a play Haliburton had performed countless times before. A move so familiar it was almost second nature. But this time, something gave out. He didn't collide with anyone. He didn't trip or slip. He just collapsed, the body giving way to forces it can no longer endure. Immediately, Haliburton pounded the floor in pain, unable to rise, clutching at his leg. As agony overtook him, he lay there, motionless aside from the visible grimace on his face and the anguish in his hands. The arena, moments ago roaring with anticipation and energy befitting a decisive Game 7, went eerily silent. You could hear the gasps from fans, the worried murmurs from the announcers, and the concerned voices of players from both teams. The image of Haliburton on the ground was not just a moment of injury, it was a moment of heartbreak, not only for Pacers fans but for anyone who understands what it means for an athlete to go down like that. Initially, the diagnosis was vague. The Pacers medical team labeled it a right lower leg injury, which in sports terminology is often code for "we don't want to speculate, but it might be serious." But as ESPN's veteran courtside reporter Lisa Salters later revealed, during the broadcast, the grim confirmation came straight from the players' inner circle. Tyrese's father, John Haliburton, shared the truth. His son had injured his Achilles. What made the moment even more gut-wrenching was the way the camera replayed the incident. Viewers at home could clearly see the ripple in his calf muscle as he collapsed, an unmistakable telltale sign of an Achilles rupture. It was the kind of injury that doesn't just affect a season, it threatens careers. It brings to mind names like Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, DeMarcus Cousins, players whose greatness was momentarily paused or permanently altered by the cruel snap of a tendon that bears the weight of greatness. As play halted with 4:55 remaining in the opening quarter, players from both teams gathered. Around Haliburton, there was no showmanship, no bravado, just concern. Pacers teammates huddled around their fallen leader while coaching staff and trainers rushed to his aid. Even opposing players looked on, clearly shaken. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander knelt nearby, visibly distressed. In moments like these, rivalry melts away, replaced by the universal empathy that binds athletes who put their bodies on the line night after night. After several minutes of evaluation, Haliburton was carefully helped off the floor. He couldn't put any weight on his right leg. 2 trainers flanked him, practically carrying him toward the locker room as he clutched a towel over his face, an attempt to mask the pain, perhaps, or maybe the tears. Fans in the arena stood silently, some clapped in support. Others looked away, unable to watch. For Pacers faithful, it felt like the air had been sucked out of the building. For the players, it was like losing their heartbeat. At the time of his exit, the Pacers were trailing 18-16. Haliburton had already knocked down 3 three-pointers, signaling a potentially heroic performance in the making. His shots had that signature arc, the effortless flick that made him such a dangerous perimeter threat. And yet, it would all end right there. The injury drew instant comparisons to Kevin Durant's infamous Achilles rupture in the 2019 NBA Finals. That injury had followed a strained calf as well. In fact, Durant's case mirrored Haliburton's eerily closely, a superstar pushing through the pain in the high-stakes crucible of the finals, trying to bring glory to his team only to fall in near identical fashion. Durant, who had sat out most of the playoffs that year, returned in Game 5 for the Warriors only to go down in the second quarter. The image of Durant holding his Achilles as he sat on the floor remains one of the most iconic and tragic moments in recent NBA history. And now, Tyrese Haliburton may have his own version of that moment etched into memory. Haliburton had first strained his calf in Game 5 of this final series. Despite clear discomfort, he stayed in the game and managed to suit up for Game 6, leading Indiana with his characteristic grit and playmaking brilliance. He had been averaging 14.8 points and 6.8 assists per game in the series, not career highs, but solid numbers given the injury he was nursing and the defensive attention he was drawing. His presence on the floor went beyond statistics. He was the Pacers' engine, their strategist, their morale booster, and most importantly, their leader. He's just 25 years old, a two-time NBA All-Star and All-NBA selection, but this injury, it is indeed a full Achilles rupture, could sideline him for the entirety of next season. It's a daunting prospect. Recovery from a torn Achilles typically spans 9 to 12 months, depending on severity and rehabilitation progress. For some players like Durant, the comeback is triumphant. For others like Kobe, it's an uphill battle with moments of brilliance but never quite the same explosiveness. And for a few, the injury marks the beginning of the end. For Haliburton, the road ahead is uncertain. But if anyone is equipped to navigate it, it's him. Throughout his young career, Haliburton has demonstrated an unshakable mental toughness. From his early days at Iowa State to becoming the face of a rebuilding Indiana franchise, he has consistently defied expectations. His work ethic is relentless, his basketball IQ is off the charts, and his connection to the game goes beyond talent. It's spiritual, almost poetic. You can see it in the way he passes, the way he directs traffic on the court, the way he lifts his teammates with every play. That's what makes this moment so painful. Not just the injury itself, but the timing, the cruel irony of it happening at the very pinnacle of the sport of Game 7 of the NBA Finals. A stage every player dreams of. A moment Haliburton had earned with blood, sweat, and countless hours in the gym. And yet, fate intervened. Behind the scenes, the Pacers' locker room was described as devastated. Teammates reportedly sat in silence as trainers attended to Haliburton. Coach Rick Carlisle looked visibly shaken during the post-game presser, offering few words but conveying deep concern. "He's our heart and soul," he said. "What he's done for this team, what he means to this city, it's immeasurable." The impact of the injury extended far beyond Indiana's roster. Across the NBA, players took to social media to express their support. "Prayers up for Tyrese," tweeted LeBron James. Kevin Durant posted a broken heart emoji with a simple message, "That's tough, man." Even rivals like Draymond Green and Giannis Antetokounmpo shared messages of support, praising Haliburton's resilience and wishing him a speedy recovery. Fans were no different. Thousands flooded social media with messages of love and strength. Some posted clips of his best assists, others remembered his infectious smile and humble interviews. A mural of Haliburton that had gone up in downtown Indianapolis earlier this year became a gathering point for fans, some leaving flowers, notes, and get-well cards taped to the wall. The injury also reignited a heated debate about player health and load management in the NBA. Many question whether Haliburton should have been allowed to play through a calf strain, especially with so much at stake. "We've seen this before," one analyst said on ESPN. "A strained calf can lead to an Achilles tear if not managed properly." The signs were there. Others pointed to the culture of heroism in sports, where playing through pain is often celebrated rather than cautioned against. He wanted to be there for his team, no doubt. But sometimes someone has to protect the player from himself.